Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Fearless Generations with Terry Sayer and Kelly Fox.
Hello, it's Fearless Generations, 12 Steps to Freedom. I am Kelly Fox, and I am here tonight to continue the discussion on Step 5, Accountable. And tonight we're going to be talking about being accountable to our values, which I'm sure is going to be an interesting conversation. So let me bring on my beautiful co-host, Terry Sayer. How are you doing tonight, Terry?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
It is always great for you to be here. Anyways, so I'm excited for the conversation. We have a brand new guest coach on the show with us tonight. I am super excited to bring her on. She's super smart, and I met her through Polka Dots, which is a connection organization that Terry and I belong to. And so please welcome Chris Dyer.
Thank you, Kelly and Terry.
Thank you for being here. And thank you for staying up late to come on with us. We appreciate it.
Well, it's not as late as it would be if it was Eastern time.
That's true. That is true. So, Chris, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience? Tell us what it is you get to do and who it is you get to serve.
Well, thank you very much. I am super passionate about helping women really stop searching for their purpose and start living in their purpose. And do that through, both, group coaching, which you were a part of, our program here several weeks ago, and also individualized coaching, super laser focused coaching. And so my specialty really is working with women who are 40 and up, women who have done the things, raised their families, have already had some success in life and business, and they're kind of stuck, burnout, and overwhelmed. And so my job is to help co-create with them to design a life they love.
Love that. I love that. Yeah, I was just thinking that I have met other coaches that do things for that type of audience as well. They do different things for them, but over 40, overwhelmed, and it's like, is that the fate of all over 40 moms? Because I know I'm there. So how lucky we are that there's so many coaches out there willing to support us.
Well, and I think, women are just really now starting to wake up, right? The millennials sort of have an advantage. They have the tools that we didn't have 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago, right? And so we're learning about self-love and compassion for ourselves. And we can have all of that. We can be in high service and high impact, and also give ourselves that which we so freely give away to everyone else.
So true. So true. So the theme or the step this month is Step 5, Accountable. So what does accountable mean to you?
To me, it starts with sort of knowing what your dreams and your desires are. You really have to take an inventory of what it is that you want. And it can be in health, wellness, it can be in your business life, it can be in your relationships. even in your spiritual growth and development. And when you can analyze and really, I call it expanding your scorecard, because a lot of us are raised up, imprinted, thinking, well, we're gonna grow up, we're gonna have 2.5 kids, we're gonna have a great job and a great family and a great house and all the things, and there's a scorecard, and our goals are really fixed on creating that abundance in our job, in our skill set, making the money so we can have and do all the things. And what I encourage women to do is to expand that scorecard and look at the other ways you can express abundance and a life well lived, and that's through taking care of yourself, through preserving your mental, your mindset, and also your spiritual growth and feeding your soul. So, in your relationships. And what's interesting is I know this is going to come up when you're going to talk about the values, so I'm going to hold a little bit back for you to prompt those questions. But one of my values really talks about the relationship piece. And my perspective is, I also work with older adults that are 60 and up, particularly in the physical sense. And I'm in between, right? I'm in between the 40 and 60. So that creates a space of perspective and wisdom and that applied knowledge. And that's what helps me help other women paint that bigger picture of what's possible, because I've seen the perspective of women who've gone through life and they haven't been taught how to implement self-care, self-love, take care of themselves, honoring themselves. They've been so busy serving others or, working themselves to the point of almost a breakdown in their jobs, right? Trying to claim that success that's external when the internal success is really about expanding that scorecard. There's so many other ways to attribute success rather than a dollar amount in your bank account.
Yeah. I love how you, when you started to talk about accountable, it was all being accountable to yourself, to your dreams, to your values, to the things that you want for yourself, and not this external focus of being accountable to other people, because that's where we start as well. We feel like you have to be accountable to yourself before you can be accountable to other people. And so I love that that's where you started.
Well, and that's the juxtaposition, because that's not the way I was raised, right? And that's the way a lot of women in my generation were raised, to always be of service and to give first, which that's great, but we weren't taught to. We were taught that taking care of ourselves and self-love and compassion was a selfish thing, and so we're unlearning that old paradigm, that old imprinting, and relearning with what's possible. Oh, we can have it all. We can give, and when we give to ourselves, that actually increases our capacity to give that much more.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Love that. Love that. Terry, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I think I do. Since I'm of a generation even further out than you are, my grandmother, my mother, and myself, there's a very large difference in our paradigms. My grandmother used to marvel when she would come to visit me at how my husband gave our kids baths. Just a simple thing like that. Because in her generation, fathers didn't help with the children. It was the mother's responsibility. There wasn't a lot of shared, chores, family chores like that. And she wasn't even allowed to work outside of the home. And it was interesting to see her perspective on my life. And then my mother did work outside of the home, and there was a whole different perspective there. She was a teacher. I was a teacher. And it's interesting that you talk about self-love, because my grandmother wouldn't have even thought about that. Her whole life was giving to her family and giving to others and serving in her church. And I never really heard her talk about any goals or dreams that she had. And I think about my epiphany when I finally came to that knowledge and that understanding that self-love was what was keeping me from really being able to reach my dreams and to truly and authentically love out of that place rather than out of duty, which I think my grandmother felt like it was her duty, to do everything that she was expected to do. And when I realized that what was keeping me from truly feeling love for myself and for my family, where it was just like natural, was that I wasn't loving myself. And so I was always beating myself up, trying to be perfect, working towards being, the perfect mother, the perfect teacher, the perfect wife, the perfect daughter, just working constantly at wanting to be everything to everyone. And once I was able to see, and it was just kind of like a vision almost that I received, that what was keeping me from really being happy and being able to reach my dreams was that I didn't love myself. I didn't take care of myself. I didn't do the things that brought me joy because I was focused on others. So I can't agree with you more. And I mean, I'm 78, so I'm, a generation ahead of you as well. I have children your age. And so I really believe what you're saying. I know it's true. I've lived it, and I think that's what gives me an advantage in our business of Fearless Generations is, Kelly's in her 40s, I'm in my 70s, and we can really, as we work together with women, give them a perspective that covers generations. And, I have the experience and the wisdom of going through it myself and being able to share that with women from the value that I've learned of self-care and knowing now what brings me joy, what fills me up, and then participating in that in order to then give back to others genuinely and authentically from a value of unconditional love. And that came because I learned to love myself. So I think, we all speak the same language, right? The truth is the truth. And when you can love yourself and take care of yourself, you can so much more authentically love others and care for others.
I'm curious, at what age did that shift finally occur for you?
At about 60.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yep.
I went a long time, but like I tell my kids, God knows when you're ready, and fortunately, I have a great gene pool. All my grandparents lived to be 100, so I've got plenty of time to live and enjoy that understanding. Yeah. And it's funny. It's just been such a sweet revelation in my life, such a sweet change. And I think that in the last, almost 20 years, I've been able to live such a full life. And I don't even remember before I don't even remember my life before I had that realization.
Well, it's nice knowing that it can always get better, when you, you've cleared out that old energy and all the imprinting and, everything that was taped onto us, even before we came from our parents. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we say it's never too late. Never too late. And I think that another thing that makes Fearless Generation unique is I found Fearless Living in my late 20s, and Terry found it in her early 60s. And we've been able to see the difference, see our own journeys, and to be, because we're mother and daughter, we've been able to be in the front row watching both of us, watching each other transform into the people that we're becoming now. And that is probably one of the things that I love the most about Fearless Generations, is having a front row seat to Terry's story. And it makes our relationship very unique from any of my other siblings. And I think that also gives me a unique perspective on women of her generation, because I've seen firsthand how she has changed, and she has shifted, and she has grown. And even with 60 years of thinking one way, she can shift and think and act a completely different way. So I know the possibilities that can happen with Fearless Living, and the tools and the strategies that we share by watching her, as well as going through my own journey of transformation and growth. And I think that one thing that has been a big player in both of our transformations is being more accountable to our values. We have very strong values, which were instilled as I grew up. And I still hold myself accountable to those same values. And those were instilled in me as a child. So I'd love to hear more about you spoke a little bit about it before, but your values and how you stay accountable to them, how you stay in alignment with them, with your choices and your words.
Well, I did an exercise several years ago, and it's definitely an exercise that I take through with my clients. And a lot of times, and I never did this exercise all through growing up. And, I think a lot of what my problem was growing up and not being able to process my emotions was I didn't know the words to give my emotions. In fact, as a child, and when you can't put a word on it and you can't describe it, it just kind of sits there in your head, and it creates that energy and that disconnect. But for me, going through a values exercise where you have like 100 or 125 different values or characteristics listed on a page, and you go through an exercise of like circling 25 of them that resonate with you, and then you whittle it down to 12, and then 6, and then 3, and the 3 that have stuck with me and just are really, really congruent are love, connection, and contribution. And for me, love is just universal, right? It's unconditional love. And we know there's two basic emotions, love and fear. Well, when you make your decisions based in love, if it's not love, then it's fear. And love can mean a lot of things. It's that high resonating energy, it's the high frequency. So love is kind of like that. Like if you were to ask a genie for 3 wishes, love would be like the third wish. Like love means everything. It's the love of learning. It's the love of people. It's the love of, it's gratitude. There's nothing else. And then connection. Well, I mean, I'm very involved in connection organizations. I love to be connected to other people. I love to connect to their story. I connect to nature, and what's most important is connecting to myself. And I know that when I learn to give myself that unconditional love, that which I give so freely away, well, that just makes every relationship that much better. I've improved a relationship with my husband. I've improved a relationship with my children because I've done my healing. I'm healing generations ahead of me and behind me. And then my third value is contribution. And I used to think it was significance. And then to me, the word significance has it leans to the ego. And I'm also very intentional about my language, and I don't want anything to convey that it's self-important, right? Because that leans to the ego. So I thought contribution is a very selfless and yet impactful and generous word. And so I lead my life. Every decision I make, once I've outlined my values, every decision I make going forward, I don't have to second guess myself. And it's I can trust myself because every decision I make checks these 3 boxes. Is it with love? Is it with a connection piece? Benefiting someone else, including myself? And is there an element of contribution to it? Am I bettering somebody else's life decision? So it just makes it's kind of like my own personal success playbook.
Yeah, I love that. And so this exercise, you said you do it with your clients?
Yes.
Do you find that all of them are able to easily get down to the 3?
Some of them will stick with us 4 or 5. I think just for me, once I nailed them down to 3, it's like, okay, that's it. It's a 3. I mean, 3 is like, even in spiritual terms, it's like the magic number, right? I mean, it just really, it takes out the complicated. I mean, of course, I love faithfulness. I love accountability. All of those attributes I love, and self-love, and of course I say love is my superpower, or self-love is my superpower, and it allows me to just release shame, guilt, blame, judgment, comparison, all those low vibrating energies. As long as I'm acting out of love, that's just the standard that I hold myself at.
Yeah. And I think, too, when you're looking at, I've done that exercise before. When you're looking at values, again, you said you're intentional with your language. And I find people have difficulty sometimes in identifying their values as well as identifying their feelings and giving words to those as well. And I think the word love is a word that encompasses so many values. And so I think when you can get it down to values that actually help you mitigate those decisions that you're making, that love encompasses so many of them that if you can see that you're acting out of love, you're going to connect and you're going to be a contributor, because love kind of is that word that value that you can really check yourself, motives, like you said, not going to the ego, but going to contribution, because love is not about ego. It's about service. It's about, caring. It just encompasses so many values that we do a little exercise where we try to hold a whole bunch of balloons that have all our values on it, and how you just can't use that many. So what is the value that really encompasses all the values that you value? That's the only word I can think of at the moment. But so love is to me is that's the reason we're on the earth. It's the purpose for our life, and it's if you want to look at the commandments, it's to love God, to love your neighbor, and love yourself. And when you can do those 3 components of love, you've got contribution, you've got connection, you've got, and it just, so when you say that's your purpose is love, I feel like that, if we could just help individuals to see that, and we would be such a much more united as human beings if we could just incorporate that value of love in our decision making. Like you said, when you make a choice, when you decide how to speak, when you decide how you're going to serve, it's just love. Love is what makes the world go around. I think there's a song about that, but it's so encompassing, and it's a value that for me is the fountain of all values.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think compassion goes right along with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well,
I think
definitely
there's
more compassion
way.
and less judgment.
Yeah, yeah. And all the things you said, like comparison, judgment, shame, blame, all fear, those are all contrary to love.
So
Absolutely.
if we can help our friends, our family, our clients understand, really boiling those two basic emotions to fear and love, it makes it simple. It simplifies it, and then you get to choose. Like, which one do I choose? Well, I want to choose love, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then anything that doesn't resonate with love or feel good, then that must be fear. And it gives you an opportunity to unpack it and kind of analyze it a little bit, and you learn a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we in Fearless Living, we call it fear and freedom, but freedom is love. I mean, it's just what I love about, talking to different coaches and resonating with the contributions that we all make and our desire to serve is it just comes down to the truth. And you may use a different word, you may say it in a different way, but it comes down to the truth. Loving ourselves in order to love others, loving others in order to serve and contribute, and then for me it's loving God. And so it's just, every time I get to have a guest coach on our program, I just feel so connected, because we're saying come to the real core of our humanity, and we just might say it in a different way, do a different exercise, but it comes down to the truth that we are here to love one another, and then that means loving ourselves. So I love the things that you said, and it's just really resonated with me, and I'm so grateful that we have this opportunity to connect with people that, are like-minded, and it just strengthens my commitment to being able to contribute to others through coaching.
Yeah. Well,
absolutely. Sweetie,
one voice.
I have been so enthralled in this conversation that I totally lost track of time. We have 2 minutes left, and I want to give Chris time to share where the listeners can find her and if she has anything coming up.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. I am easily found on all the social media channels, particularly Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Chris Dyer, CHRIS, and then DYER. I do have a website, chrisdyerconsulting.com, and done 2 groups of the 40-day journey of abundance, and that's 40 days intensive. And then we have our guest expert speakers, which Kelly graciously came and spoke to our group several weeks ago, and we're going to start our 3rd one on March 1st. And that's
awesome.
Go ahead.
Awesome. I was just saying awesome.
So
I love
sign
being
up
a part of your group.
Facebook page? Can people sign up for that on the 40 days?
Actually, if they would want to reach out to me on Facebook, I can send them the form to sign up very quickly. It's just a very, very easy form to sign up, and it is 40 days starting March 1st, and then we'll continue to have our group expert speakers, because I believe in the abundance mindset, and not all wisdom is going to come through me. I love giving a floor and space to other trusted mentors that are also doing great work with their clients. And it's, these other coaches might come in and share a different story or a different insight that might help move these women forward that maybe didn't come from me the same way. And it's all about our sharing our stories and our wisdom.
Right.
You just never know.
No, that's why we love
how we are too. Yeah. Well, I am so sorry to cut us off. We are totally out of time. I need to remind you all that the 12 Steps to Freedom were created by Rhonda Britton, the CEO of Fearless Living. And if you'd like to know more about Fearless Living, please go check it out at fearlessliving.org. You can find Terry and I at fearlessgenerations.org. Everything's there of what we have coming up. And until next week, everyone, be fearless.
Be fearless. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.